Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like him. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.
Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to the Element Podcast.
It's got me looking for a dance floor. Grab a daddy in your bonfire Friday day. I come in, eat, break it, crush, make it, sugar, shake it, apple leg, and everything is going my way. I got a long way.
What's happening, my woods people? We're in the truck again. We always in this truck. Man, I'm glad that we are headed north. It's starting to warm up, and our spirits are on fire right now.
Hi, yep.
KC, where are we headed, man?
We are headed to southern Kansas, right?
Pretty much.
Northern Oklahoma, somewhere in that area.
Somewhere.
We're going turkey hunting.
We're chasing a new subspecies.
That's right, man.
Like,
something new for us.
Neither one of us, right?
We didn't know this until just a minute ago.
Yeah.
I've actually hunted eastern turkeys.
Okay.
But it was like one of those situations where I hiked with my shotgun a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I didn't ever feel like it was a true hunt. You know, like I never saw birds, never like felt like, and I was a kid too, so it was not a big deal. But this we have high hopes for.
Yeah, this is my first try at the easterns as far as I can remember. So pretty excited. We got the invite to come up and do a little bit of this, and on a place that should have some birds. We might have to work for a little more than we did in Texas on our spot a few weeks ago.
I don't know if I'm ready for that. I very much like the lazy approach to turkey hunting.
We were like, man, we might not ever hunt public land again.
I know.
But I'm sure we will. Actually, yeah. I know we will. I know that we will.
Yeah.
Should we? Shall we?
We just might. Shall. So, I want to say something before I forget it.
Okay.
I saw a sign back there at that car dealership that said oil changes 50% off every day.
That's good to know.
So
that's good to know.
Is it really 50% off?
I mean, if that's every day, then that's
just the cost of an oil change.
That's the price.
Right?
Yes, that's the cost.
Yeah. So, you were alluding to the fact that we are going to hunt public land again, right?
Yeah.
Because some states' public land is better than others. Some states even make you draw tags to hunt their public land.
Because so many people want to hunt it.
So many people want to hunt it. Some states have very difficult odds for certain parts of their public land. And some states don't make you acquire preference or bonus points.
Yeah.
So
for 45 years.
Yeah, for 45 years.
For our generation.
If you're a listener who does put in for preference or bonus points or for the draws around the country, you know that I'm referring to one of two states right now, and it is the more southern state. The state of New Mexico has decided to allocate a tag to Casey Smith this year.
Oh my gosh! And we're not just talking about a desert drag of a unit, man. We're talking about like faux real.
Have you ever heard of the Gila?
I have, dude. I have.
Guys, I drew a 16B Gila Wilderness September
second
archery hunt. So that's talking September 15th to the 24th in the Gila unit. Limited entry.
Tag
I'm
of a lifetime.
one of 150 people total that get this tag. I
That
think.
includes residents, right?
That includes the 84% residents, 10% guided, and then the lowly 6% that I was in for non-resident, non-guided. I don't know how many of us there are. If I did a little quick math, I would think there's somewhere around 2 or 3 of us, or maybe 5 or 6. I don't know.
I was thinking 10.
It's not that many. So yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. There's not that many of us, right?
Yeah.
And we got this information about a week ago, and it was at first it was like disbelief. I called my wife and Tyler and told them what I thought was happening. And got a little bit emotional, a little bit queasy, and then called New Mexico Game and Fish to confirm, just because when something that great happens to you, you always assume it's a mistake. And it's not a mistake.
No.
It's happening.
Oh my gosh,
It's happening.
dude.
So,
I could not believe it.
you couldn't believe it, dude. Oh my goodness. I was like, dude, I'm gonna be honest. I feel bad that I just assumed that you were going to just go on the hunt with me and give up that. But I think you and I had kind of talked about, if somebody draws the Gila, or anything in New Mexico, really, it doesn't matter. The other guy's going to be cameraman, and, we're going to be stoked to go on the trip. And that's kind of the cool thing about the way our relationship works anyways, is, we're both going on this hunt. And no matter if I'm the shooter or the cameraman or whatever, it's going to be a freaking blast, and I cannot wait.
Dude, I've been the cameraman on a lot of hunts in the last few years.
Yeah.
Not just talking about you, but obviously British Columbia.
Yeah.
Twice. I got to, I basically do a sheep hunt, but I don't get to pull the trigger, and neither did the guy when I was on the trip, the guy that was hunting. But it's a good experience, and I don't know why, but I haven't been that disappointed about man, I just want to draw one and be the guy on camera, or not necessarily the guy on camera, but be the guy hunting, and I do, but I haven't been that disappointed or had that mindset at all. And I think a part of me is just this is kind of paying my dues, maybe what I told you earlier, just I'm learning without having to spend $600 or $800 on a tag, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or in the case of sheep, maybe 30 or 40 grand,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
It's kind of cool to learn that kind of stuff. And I got so much backcountry experience by going and filming that sheep hunt those 2 years. And hopefully that'll come in. And I think it helped us in the Black Canyon, you know, and then hopefully it'll help us.
At least I still carried way too much junk.
You still had 5 gallons of peanut butter. Yeah, but I just think it definitely is a help to me, and hopefully to you too as well. But and it was the same thing on public with deer. I feel like I've had to pay my dues there, and followed you around the first year, which wasn't a whole year, but followed you around out there with a camera, and I just don't look at it. I don't know. I try not to look at it in a selfish way, really.
Yeah.
And I still get something out of it. So
yeah,
if you were to look at it that way,
I think it's a great way to approach things too. For instance, I took my first Midwestern whitetail trip with you, and we killed nameless, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was a cameraman, didn't have a tag, and it was the time of my life.
It was
right?
so much good
It's so
fun.
much fun, so cool, such a good hunt, and I learned a ton about. I mean, it's just a lot different than what I grew up doing, right? And I think it's good to kind of approach things that way. If you don't have a ton of experience that way, and you have the opportunity to go on a hunt like that, it's pretty valuable.
Yeah, for sure, man. I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of advice I could give to somebody who's kind of wants to get into that Western game, but doesn't have a whole lot of money and wouldn't want to waste $1,000 going on an elk hunt. Well, tell somebody you'll go video for them if you can hop a ride with them and share a tent with them, or whatever. And that's a good way to get your.
Well, neither of us have a ton of experience with a unit like this, man.
No.
We've talked a lot on this podcast, and guys, just so you know, you miss out on the best parts because the podcast is just the small little sliver of what Tyler and I's conversations are. And then we're like, we need to get the headphones out and record.
Yeah.
But anyways, we've been talking a lot about what this unit means, what it's all about. And honestly, when I first started elk hunting and being interested in elk, I'd read magazine articles or watch like a hunt on TV, and they'd be talking about the Gila. And I didn't really even understand what it was. I just knew it was like a place that you could go to, and there's giant elk there. And it didn't make any sense to me at the time because it was like dry and deserty, but there's huge elk. And I'm like, aren't those supposed to be in the mountains? You know, but but what you figure out is like the mountains are not just aspens and really high peaks. But anyways, it's just like it has so much mystique to it. You know, it's kind of like, I'm sure there aren't great places to hunt in Iowa, but there's a lot of places that are great, and like it has a lot of hype, right? Like, so there's just this certain feeling you get when you get to go hunt places like this that are storied, right? It's like Stuttgart, Arkansas.
Yeah.
How many places are there besides Stuttgart's that's good to duck hunt?
There, Louisiana, the whole state.
The whole state, right? But something about Stuttgart's, it's like that's like the place.
Yeah.
That's what people talk about, right? And that's kind of what the Gila is, man. And whenever your name is called and there's a green tag beside that unit on whenever you get your email,
I don't know what that is like, but
golly, dude, it was like, oh no, I didn't tell this. I need to tell the story. Okay, so they send out this email, and it's a week early before we're supposed to get our draw results. Tyler had already said he thought it would be early, but I was like, I don't know. It said the 24th. Well, it was a week early. He was right. And they don't send out the information to what unit you drew. They give you the hunt code. Well, I don't have a New Mexico book, right? I don't have the book of all the different codes and stuff. So it just tells me it does tell me I drew my first choice. And I knew what I marked as my first choice, but there's always this doubt that creeps in. Did I do it wrong, right? Well, I'm thinking I drew like some eastern New Mexico dust unit, you know, like there ain't no elk there. Well, I'm trying to figure out the hunt code. And all of New Mexico's website is crashed completely because everyone is doing the same thing. Yeah. And it takes me like 15 minutes to confirm that, yes, in fact, I did draw this thing. And it was just, quite honestly, one of the most interesting feelings I've ever felt.
Yeah.
And me and my wife laughed about it a little bit, and she was slightly perturbed, but not too much, that I cried more about the elk hunt than I did on our wedding day. And I said, well, Cassie, here's the deal. Like, I've been preparing for you my whole life.
It kind of hits you at once.
Yeah, exactly. And I knew the wedding day was coming, right? Like I just was, by the time it got here, I was ready to get it over with. I had no idea this was going to happen, right? And then it's just like, oh my gosh. And, well, we were talking to our buddy earlier on the phone, actually. His name's Steven Spurlock. He was on the podcast a little while back, I think in the 30s somewhere, something like that. And I was telling Steven, I said, man, like, this is a huge blessing because I'm 30 years old and I get to go on this extremely physical, extremely awesome elk hunt. Like, what an opportunity. Because I always thought that I'd be like 50 before I'd ever get to go on any kind of hunt like this because it takes points to draw them and you got to accrue all these points. And not that, like, you aren't capable at 50 years old, but you aren't 30 when you're 50.
Oh, yeah,
right?
For sure.
And I just have such a blessing to like have my body not in like peak physical performance, right? But like I'm still in really good health and I'm pretty young and feel good, right? So it's like such a blessing to be able to go on this trip at this age, man. It's going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah, dude. And I'm excited too because like I've been putting in there in New Mexico for a long time, and you know, if you've listened to the podcast, you knew I drew a pretty awesome hunt. Probably not quite the same hunt as this is going to be, especially considering how much better of an elk hunter you are, or even I am, than I was at that time, probably. But yeah, I've been putting in for a long time. I have never drawn anything there, and I've put in for some like middle of the road units too, as like second choice and stuff. And
yeah, you did that this year.
Yeah, I mean,
right? And you didn't draw any of them, which worked out good for us. That way we can both be there on the hunt.
I hadn't checked mine after you told me, and so like, I'm sure you were in the same boat as me secretively, but I pretty much didn't want to draw at that point. You know what I mean? I was like, if I draw, this is going to really put us in a bind.
I was putting it in a very like practical compartment in my mind. I'm like, okay, if Tyler doesn't draw, it's going to be great. If he does draw, here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to find a couple camera guys to go with each of us.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to be sick, but
not quite as fun, probably.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a ton of fun the way we're doing it. And but with that fun, with all this elation and all of this hype that's going into this hunt, with just storied ground, hollowed ground, right? Like,
speaking of that, dude,
what?
Okay,
what,
so
what?
You made that point earlier, but the storied
Okay.
ground thing, I know exactly what you're talking about, because when I was 9, was when I killed my first deer, and for a few years there, the first deer I killed was about 30 miles from the border of Mexico. South Texas, down in
It's got a aura
Webb County,
about it, right?
Encinal, Texas.
Yeah.
I think that's Webb County. Like, golly, dude. The Los Cazadores big buck contest was like the first big buck contest down there, and like all you ever heard was about these just lonely big ranches with tons of deer on them and big, muy grandes. And so it was when I went down there, especially at like 9 and 10 years old, oh my goodness, dude, it was like, we're going to the best place on the planet, and I've never even killed a deer.
And it's 9
like,
hours of hype drive.
Oh yeah. Spitballing. We were spitballing, trying to hit other cars out the window. Our dads were talking in the front. Good times.
Well, you were in the truck with one of the biggest knotheads that was ever a teenager.
I don't know that the first trip. Well, okay, there was a knothead in the truck with me, but it wasn't the one you're thinking about.
Oh, wasn't?
But I have been to South Texas with that knothead several times, and he actually texted me the other day, and he sent me. I think he sent me. Maybe it was at Chop Suey by. Oh, what's the band?
System of a Down.
System of a Down. And he sent me the link to it, and he goes, bro, didn't we play this like on air drums and guitar like 9 hours straight one time on a hunting trip? I was like, I'm pretty sure we did. Like, I don't know how our dads didn't just strangle us. We were beating on the seats and stuff.
Oh, my
anyway,
gosh.
I just went on a huge tangent. But
it's good,
I do
man.
know what
It's
you're talking about.
part of the hype, man. It's part of the fun,
I know,
man.
dude.
And just thinking about like, part of fun is looking forward to the fun, right? If vacations just happen
best
spur of
part.
the moment, like, I love the planning,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But with that planning and doing this thing right, you and I have been talking about, we've got a lot of changes, improvements, additions that we have to make to either our elk system or just tactics in general, and just general knowledge that we have to accumulate. One of the big things I was talking to Steven about earlier was like trophy potential. I've never had to worry about this in my whole life. Like, the concept of not shooting the first bull you see that's legal is going to be very strange, and probably it's probably going to hurt a little bit to let a bull go by. I've never done that, right? Anytime I've ever seen an elk, I'm thinking about killing it.
Oh, dude.
And
I know how
I'm still going to be thinking about killing this one and not be able to do it, right?
It's going to feel so weird, dude. It's going to, I don't know how to explain it, but I can kind of like feel it already just imagining letting like some big 5 go by or something,
Yeah. Well,
like,
don't get me wrong, dude. Like, you and I have discussed a number, and I'll go ahead and say it now. And guys, understand that everything about this hunt is up in the air, right? Like, nothing is concrete. My number can change or whatever, but I'm looking at trying to kill a 340 plus bull on this trip, right? And to do that, you got to pass 280s. I've never passed I never shot a 280. The biggest bull I've ever shot is 265 or 7 or something like that.
Yeah.
Gross. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just a different world. Okay.
But it is. But why? Okay. So for the listener that may not know why I put a number on it? Why are you there? You know what I mean?
Because you want to shoot an animal that's that special.
Right.
Right.
And you have the opportunity there.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So unless it's just what you want to do, it would be foolish to put in for that unit and not go down there for it. If you want to kill small bulls and they make you happy, go to one of the units that's easier to draw that has a plethora of 3, 4, and 5-year-old bulls. But people go to the Gila to go in and hunt giant animals.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do, man. I want to have an elk that's worthy to hang on the wall, be a centerpiece in my house, and tell every person that comes in the house the story of that bull.
Oh yeah,
and then be able to show them the video of it.
There you go, dude. Oh my gosh, I can't. Like, I'm already thinking, of course, me, and also the fact that I don't have the tag. But like, I'm thinking about like, what video camera equipment do we need?
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking about taking a satellite dish in there just to like get all the audio. I'm just like, what can I do? And of course, I'm going to have to. Well, not of course, for some people, I guess, don't know, but we end up probably going to do quite a bit of spiking out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to do a lot of truck camping while we're there. So Yeah, I'm going to have to be selective with my camera gear, and that kind of brings us to the point of being selective with all of our gear, you know, and what do we have and what do we need to upgrade, you know?
Well, I've been at like the most basic of basic levels, right? I've been to the Black Canyon of the Gunnison with 75 pounds of crap on my back.
Yeah.
And I literally could have probably taken 15 or 20 pounds off of that
Yeah.
and made it comfortably, right? So it's like I really need to dial that down lot.
For sure.
And that's going to be stuff that you and I have to work on probably together and try to coordinate a little bit better on what that's going to look like. Because, I mean, the idea is to get in there. It's a wilderness unit. I don't think we've said that yet.
Yeah.
So you can't take a truck. You can't take a four-wheeler. You can't even take a bicycle. But you can take a horse or your own feet. I don't have any horses. I ain't going to pay anybody to take me in there. We're going to do this DIY style because that's how we do things. So it's going to take a lot of planning, a lot of figuring out how to manage, 5, 6, 7, 8 miles back in, where water, I wouldn't say is scarce, but a limited resource. Because it's just not like there's springs running out of every mountain, but there are quite a few rivers. So it's better than some areas.
Yeah.
So I think what you and I had talked about is we're going to run down a list of like our biggest needs, and we're not going to restrict this to the elk hunt, right? This is kind of for the next hunting season.
Yep.
Be a little bit broader than just the Gila hunt, but just in general, like our biggest needs or maybe improvements we need to make in our system for elk, whitetail, ducks, even turkeys, right? We're going turkey hunting.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'm a turkey hunter now, dude.
I can tell you what we need, and we probably should try to get it pretty soon if we're going to. But
what's that?
Decoy.
Okay, Mike Peeker. So we have officially, oh no,
Wowzer.
taken care of the first need of the 2019 season. Actually, we've taken care of some needs earlier, but as of now, we have one $13.88 Jake decoy.
It's got to be a winner.
Oh, you know it. We're going to win the game with this one, baby.
Dude, I'm hoping this thing gets shredded.
I know, dude.
It's foam.
It's foam, so like those spurs can stick in. That's the idea. The spurs stick in, and then the turkeys stay there.
Stuck, and then you just have
shoot them.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, but so we are now back on the road, addressed that need, and we were talking about the other needs that we have for this upcoming elk trip, and then also whitetail season. So just kind of like hunting needs, things that we need to improve on. Tyler, I know you've been thinking a lot about this. You've actually been texting me more about this than I've been texting you about this. So,
well, you're a gear guy, so like you don't have to text me about it.
Maybe. I feel like I'm waning in that a touch.
You think?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, well, with the purchase of my property, I kind of laxed a little bit on like my gear knowledge that I kind of just am constantly geeking out about, and I've been doing a little bit more of that property management kind of stuff. Dang, he almost got that Jeep. Wowzers. Forgot he's hauling a trailer. Anyways, yeah, so I do still love gear, and you're probably right. Like I do have some ideas on stuff, but you and I are both kind of up in the air on some things. But I know you've been having some thoughts about backpacks and stuff. What are you thinking, man?
Yeah, I want a good backpack, man, because for a lot of reasons, obviously, but like so I don't know what we're going to do exactly, but I don't really have a great like big backpack to do the backcountry thing.
Yeah,
really.
neither of us do.
I mean, I've got like, if we were going to go, like when we went to the Black Canyon, my backpack did fine. And but I mean, like I feel like when you start hauling hundreds of pounds of meat around, it just becomes a different story, you know.
Yeah.
Or going in for a week long or whatever, you know what I mean, versus like a couple days in the Black Canyon. So I kind of think I just should get a different backpack.
And those aren't hunting adapted.
Right.
Like one of the big things I've noticed the difference in like hunting backpacks and then like I don't know what you might call like a
hiker
backcountry, hiker backpack, is that hunting backpacks have pockets and gadgets and clips and buckles and all this stuff on there. And even like some of the more specialized ones still have like things that are specific for
meat straps
hauling meat, meat shelves and things to like attach the skull and the antlers to the top of the pack with and stuff like that. You know, it's really specific for the need. So which ones have you looked at that you liked?
I haven't done a lot of researching on particular brands, but I did a little bit of research on the Kafaru stuff. I've looked a little bit at Stone Glacier stuff. The Mystery Ranch has been around a while, and then obviously, Sitka has a line of backcountry bags or a bag, I guess. What's it called? The meat hauler or something?
It's called the something hauler.
Mountain hauler. Yeah. So anyway,
not the double hauler, but the mountain hauler.
Yeah, the double hauler. So anyway, that's kind of the ones that I've been briefly looking at, and I don't know. Like, I feel like I live on YouTube. It seems like sometimes it's just like, you can, I don't know, you can do the research and look through the websites and forums and talking to people and everything else, but like, you can actually see the product in 3D for, kind of in a way on YouTube and that kind of thing, and just see people putting it to use. And you can I feel like get so much information when somebody's talking to you as opposed to having to read about it sometimes. And anyway, that's kind of the packs I've been looking at. I don't know. Really, it's going to come down to like which one can I get probably the cheapest that'll be pretty much effective to do what I need to do.
That's kind of how we do most of our equipment. Like, what's the cheapest, best thing we can do?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, maybe one of these days when we're making millions of dollars just hunting animals, which is not something that actually happens, we'll be able to do something different. But, I mean, whenever you work hard for your money, you got to make sure it goes the furthest, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of where I'm at on that. I mean, I really like things that have a lot of pockets, a lot of bags that have a lot of pockets. Like you said, I'm a pockety guy.
Yeah.
And I like to be able to just kind of store everything in its own pockets, and I do like the Sitka bag had some good straps on it for like the skull and antlers and that kind of thing. It looked like a cool system. I also like, which you have this on your whatever that Alpine 20 or whatever it is, the bag that you got.
Yeah.
I like that they have the clips that have like hook on them that just slide onto the straps. You know what I mean? It's like super quick attachment. And I don't know, I haven't done enough research on some of these other bags to do it. But I mean, honestly, like some of these other bags, when I look at the price tag, I immediately am like, I don't care to really research anything else on that bag because it's going to be $800.
Man, it's like some of these bags are the prices of rifles, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, man.
And I understand it. I understand why they're pricey and that they have that value, but you can't do it, I don't think. I would rather carry 2 extra pounds than spend $200 or $250 more extra dollars. So.
And here's the thing with that though, is like, how many times can you do that though? Like, I'm with you on the 2 extra pounds thing. But if you do that with 17 pieces of like equipment, that makes
21 extra pounds.
34 extra, whatever the math is. That comes up to a lot of extra weight.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got to just kind of weigh that out and figure out what you can spend the money on. And like for me, I got to address sleeping situations because you have a pretty good backcountry sleeping bag. I don't. Like all my sleeping bags are like the big old heavy roll up ones, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that you can get a pretty lightweight bag, especially on like Steep and Cheap or something, for a decent price, and it's a good place to cut weight for a smaller amount of money.
Yeah,
you know, like you kind of got to weigh that out. Like, how much weight are you saving by spending this much dollar
Same
amount?
Same thing, yeah. That's where I bought mine off of Steep and Cheap last year, and that's where I was at, and I ended up, I think, getting a women's bag.
That's all right.
That's kind of what you get sometimes when you're looking at a website like that. You don't exactly know, what you're going to get to a T.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's a women's bag, but it fits me okay. It's pretty snug.
Yeah. The length is good. It's just tight.
The length is fine. I got it extra long, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a 15-degree bag, I think, which is plenty for us there. You know, in most places.
Most of the guys I've been looking at, because like I look up some stuff, and people talk about backcountry hunts or whatever, and early season backcountry hunts, they're talking about 32-degree bags, and I'm going to kind of err to the warmer side.
Yeah,
I'm looking for something in that 25 to 20 range, whatever it is.
If you could get uncomfortable when you're sleeping, you're going to be uncomfortable the whole trip.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I'm talking like when you're asleep or when you're awake too. Like
try and get some good daggum sleep.
Yeah,
makes you a
gotta
better
get rested,
hunter.
dude. I feel like. and I understand why they're wanting to cut weight, but I don't know. It's a good bag that I got. It's a North Face and good quality stuff. The guy that I went sheep hunting with, Heath, he was like, man, he was telling me he's kind of tried everything. It seems like a lot of times, and he was like, man, I've got. What was he talking about? He was talking about, I think, windproof stuff. And he was like, man, I've tried all these brands that you've heard about. And he said, he's like, I put my mouth up to the fabric and I blow as hard as I can. And if I can feel it, it ain't windproof. You know what I mean? He's like, really the only one that I feel like is windproof is North Face. And I was like, makes sense. Pretty high quality stuff.
It's kind of neat how high quality and mainstream cross right there.
Yeah.
Like North Face is like a popular thing that you see like sorority girls wearing, right? Or used to. I don't really see sorority girls anymore, but back in the day at college at least. Maybe it's not popular anymore. I don't know, but it was.
It used to be, that's for sure. Yep.
Yeah. So, and like then you take kind of the opposite end of the spectrum, like, I don't know, you start looking at some of these tent manufacturers and stuff, which is something else that we're going to probably look into. It's stuff that you may or may not have ever even heard of, like shelter stuff, which for interesting purposes here, this is a good place where some of this cost share can be done. Like you and I have talked about this a good bit, like trying to get a tent that's good for both of us, because I would imagine like for a long time, most of our backcountry experiences are going to be together, and even if they aren't, it's not like we're going to both be doing backcountry stuff with our families at the same time or something like that, right? So it's something good to kind of split the cost of if you can.
Right.
And it's looking like splitting the cost is going to be a good thing on one of those.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't know. And we haven't really discussed much about it because we haven't made it to tents very far, but I really like the idea of having a stove in a backcountry tent, but honestly, I don't think that we're going to need that here or for a while even, to be honest. Like,
that's kind of, and so, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that kind of like a thing for wet and cold Northwest kind of hunts?
Yeah,
mostly?
I think so, and I think that, we might get there one of these days, but who knows how long that's going to be, and for the time being, like, why can't you run a regular tent and just crank up your cooking stove? And it's one of those deals where, carry an extra canister, it's an extra 1.5 pounds or whatever, and you've got heat there, and it's a multitasker, right? As opposed to a unitasker like a camp stove. It's all it's doing is doing heat. Can't cook on it or anything. So I think that's going to kind of be the better option for that. And as far as brands go, you've talked about Hillebergs a little bit, right?
Yeah, I've heard about them through hunting media, and anyway, I was same guy, Heath was questioning him the other day. It's like, man, we're going to have to probably get us a pretty lightweight tent. I told him our deal in Bozeman.
I lost my tent if y'all listen to I'm sure we talked about this, but the security let me on the airplane to head to Bozeman twice because we had to go to Salt Lake and to Bozeman, right? And then we're leaving Bozeman with the same tent.
Like 5 days later, they had literally changed the legislation while we were in Bozeman.
Yeah, kind of lame, right?
And they were like, you can take your tent on, but you have to leave your tent stakes. We're like, well, we didn't.
And we're
murder.
Also a touch late, and we're rolling with like the CEO of Costa at that point. I'm not like we're big shots, but we're hanging out or whatever Dave's job is, right? And he's like giving us, like, we shared a Uber to the airport and stuff
at like 5:30 a.m.
And we're like a touch late, and no big deal, we're gonna make it, or whatever. But then all of a sudden they detain me, and I'm like trying to avoid the cavity search and all this, I'm
like, look, people, we didn't kill anybody with these tent stakes on the way here on 2 different flights. Like, we'll be all right.
It's like, I dealt with this the other day. I was taking some kids to school in the morning, and I was leaving the school, and when I left the school, the light wasn't flashing for the school zone. Well, while I was in the school zone instated. So no matter who you are, for a short amount of time, you're going to be breaking the law because you're speeding in a school zone. And it's like, where's the lenience at on this? And I feel like whenever my tent was taken, I was in the lenient area where there should have been some lenience, like, hey, you can leave this at the front of the airplane, pick it up on your way out, that kind of thing.
Right,
but No.
They don't use brains in
No
the
budging
TSA.
there.
I don't think
I don't
uses
think
brains.
so, man.
They're a brain-free organization, I believe.
Man.
Anyways, but yeah. So I talked to Heath
Back to
about that story, and I said we're going to need a tent, whatever. And he had bought is it Mammut? Is that how you say it?
I think so.
That's how he calls it.
Yeah.
But he's East Texas, so you say things differently in East Texas. But anyway, he said he had bought one. He's like, I thought I'd serve a few $100s, and I'm like literally laughing inside, like,
why is this guy doing that?
Why you saving a few $100s if you're going on a stone sheep hunt, But anyway, he that's just the way he is, and that's why he's got money, But
yeah. I'm that way. I don't have money.
Okay, well, my point is not made correctly. So anyway. He said, I thought I'd save a few $100, and he said when we got, and I don't know if they were using it on this trip or what, but at some point he had bought that tent, and then he was like, we went on this trip, and they backpack hunted 10 miles in. It was a 10-mile trip, no horseback, nothing, by foot. So pretty epic trip, and took a Hilleberg, and he said, man, it was like the bee's knees, man. He said it was a 2-man or 3-man, one or the other, and he said he and his son Cash got in, and he said obviously high-end stuff is going to be really well thought out, right?
Yeah.
And he said he was like bragging on how the fact it had 2 doors on each side, so you could get in on each side, but it also had its own like awning or whatever on each side, so you could store gear. And you didn't have to worry about like all your crap getting mixed in with your buddies, and like, oh, can you move your boots off of my shirt because they're getting it wet and muddy, kind of thing. It's you're responsible for your stuff, and he liked it a lot. He's like, man, it was the real deal, and he's like, I kind of wish I hadn't bought that Mammut, which he said is a really good tent. I'm like, well, you can give it to us.
For real. You might have to loan that one out, sir.
But anyway, that's something we're gonna. And I'm in the same boat with the sleeping situation. I'm gonna have to address because. I've got the sleeping bag, but I just don't love my pad, my sleeping pad. It's I'm kind of a side sleeper a lot of times, and I really sleep anyway, but I end up on my side almost every night at some point, and I can feel the ground through that pad for sure.
I think, honestly, I think you're right, but just side sleeping in general in the backcountry or in a camping situation like that is just not going to be the most comfortable way of doing it.
Yeah.
But if you can find something that's going to at least help alleviate some of that pressure, that you feel on your shoulder. And are you looking at one of those climates like I have?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you're thinking?
It's just got a lot more padding, man.
It does.
Or, just the air pockets are bigger, so it's further off the ground. So I don't know. I'm looking at that is definitely on the top of my list right now, but I haven't done a ton of sleeping pad research. I've been more looking at packs and quickly eliminating packs.
It's kind of nice to start at like, okay, what's the most expensive thing that I'm going to have to buy for this trip? And I already got my tag, right? So like after that, what's next? Probably pack. So kind of address that, and then it's like, okay, I can buy my pad like a month before season. Like we can put that off, right? That kind of thing. And especially since you've got one of those climates at your disposal to check out, make sure you like, and all that kind of stuff. You can kind of do that later. But I don't know. I think that's kind of like the biggies for this elk trip, at least, right? I feel like I'm missing out. Well, I got to get arrows and stuff like that, but that's all. And I guess we could kind of go into that a little bit. Like I'm going to change my arrow setup a touch this year.
Are you?
Yeah, just because those Easton Axes, I busted a bunch of them. I'm down to 4 arrows, which I lost 1 or 2. But I think I busted like 5 of them, or 6 if you include like target practice and stuff. And it's just, I've never broke that many arrows in my life. And it's not like my arrows are coming out all wonky and like hitting stuff and breaking because they're not flying straight. So I don't know. There's probably not that much wrong with them, but just kind of more, a lot of the things I do in archery and hunting in general is just like accumulating some confidence in your equipment. That way you just feel like, okay, it's a fail-safe. Nothing's going to go wrong here except me. So I got to do my job.
Worry about.
Yeah, exactly. Whenever you don't have to worry about something, then like your mind is way more free to concentrate on the shot. And we've probably talked about that a lot through.
Are you going to change your anything about your arrows other than just like, like weight or anything like that, or?
Well, when I swap to a different arrow setup, like a different arrow completely, it's going to be a situation where I got to see what the weight comes out to anyways. Right. I do think I can afford another 30 grains of weight before, or even more than that, really, before I start losing too much velocity. And I don't know, I might even look at shooting an elk arrow versus a whitetail arrow too. But I think, well, one of the ideas with this hunt is that they're going to be close, right? So, like, you would think that most of your shots are like 40 and in. Most of the stuff you see on TV, people are shooting them at like 15.
Yeah, they're just getting run over.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that like somewhere between that 470 and 500 grains, I probably will carry 2 different types of broadheads just because it's just kind of something I've started doing. I can't help. I just like having the variance there, being able to do something different.
So like carry in your pack, you think, or in your quiver?
Well, I'll probably have 3 of each. Well, I'll probably have 3 of one, 2 of the other, and 1 judo point of some sort because we're going to be shooting some grouse, hopefully, to eat while we're in there. But I'm also going to carry 6 arrows in my pack. I don't know. There's probably not very many, like maybe 1 out of 1,000 times I take this trip that I go through all 6 arrows and need a 7th. But if anything about this hunt, if it tells you anything, it's that statistics show that somebody has to win, or there has to be a 1 out of da-da-da-da, and I was that 1 for drawing the hunt, so you don't want to be in that one situation where you're out of the 6 arrows. So probably going to put an arrow tube on my backpack and bring those in and maybe not take them with me every day, but stash them there, you know, whatever. Because our idea has been to kind of hike in a long ways and then set up a kind of a spike camp or base camp, however you talk. I don't know the terminology for this junk either, but set up a camp that's kind of home base and then go out and then like, just radiuses or radii out from there. Each day. But and man, the thing about these gear upgrades is like what we're talking about in the beginning, at least in the backpack, the tent, all this backcountry stuff. I'm hoping to put that to use in the whitetail woods this year, maybe at least once, and if not in the future for sure. I really have been. I know I've talked to you about this a lot, but really been the last like couple of years really wanting to do a backcountry whitetail hunt, and it's hard to do in a lot of places, a lot of states, and because like Texas, for instance, you can't camp on WMAs a lot of times and stuff like that. So whether or not I could go in there and backpack in for a day or two and like be 2 miles in on some of these WMAs, but they won't let you camp on them, so you have to come out every night, and same thing in a lot of areas. Same thing in some of the states that offer any kind of like what you look at in Montana as being like BLM type lands that are private, leased by the state. It's private property, so they don't want you camping on it. A lot of times, not BLM, but block management. Sorry, I knew what you meant.
So that's kind of been the issue. So I'm trying to find some BLM or something that I can actually camp on.
What's like something more whitetail specific that you'd need for the backcountry though?
Well, if I was going to go, and if I end up doing it by myself, which there's a chance that I do 1 or 2 by myself this year, the Sterapin is something that I feel like I could borrow yours, I'm sure, but like if you're, I guess I could do that probably in most cases, but I kind of want to have one for my vacation this year. Just to have it with us when we go on that long vacation, and I know your vacation is going to be kind of overlapping with ours, so I definitely would need it in that case if I or need my own if I needed one. So that's something more whitetail specific. I really would, and this is another expensive endeavor, but like I would really love to fine tune a little bit more my what I carry in and how much weight it is and how well it fits on my body. You know what I mean? Like so for the most part, stand and sticks, right? And I got the Muddy Pro sticks last year, and overall it's a pretty cool setup, man. I mean, really pretty portable and everything like that, but I think there are other options that I would like to explore that are a little more lightweight. And honestly, those stands are pretty lightweight that I use as run and gun, the Muddy Vantage, the old first gen, but they're still like 13 pounds or so, and they're making stands that are 8.5 pounds nowadays. So I mean, being able to cut that, I just know the last day that we hunted on public this year in Texas. You remember that trip that we made up into that? We were trying to find a spot for the afternoon.
Was that the last day?
That was the last day we hunted.
That's a terrible last day to hunt.
It was terrible, dude. And we just were. And by the time we got out of there, I'd been carrying this stand around for like a couple of miles, and it just, and then being cheap and everything else, the straps on the stand are not like sewn in anymore, so they just slide. The stand slides all over your back and everything. It's loud. It's uncomfortable. And so just trying to upgrade that system in one way or another. And there's a lot of good options that have come out this year for lighter weight mobile whitetail hunters, So
yeah.
Definitely searching through those options there on the whitetail side of things. You got anything whitetail-wise that you've been looking at? We haven't hardly talked whitetail at all because we've been
kinda
so
hyped.
Juiced about this elk thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of along the lines with you there. I might not do the backcountry whitetail stuff, but every whitetail trip that we take on public land is some type of hanging hunt usually. So something lighter, and for me, I've talked about this, and I just didn't have the funding to do it last year. Just something less bulky in general, because I've got a big platform on my running gun stand, and it's just it's wider than my shoulders, so I get caught up in briars and brush and trees and stuff all the time when I'm trying to go back in. So I think I'd like to explore something smaller in that realm too, both in weight and in just in general size.
I know we talked a little bit about the sling stuff. Are you still entertaining that at all?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I don't think I want that. I don't want to do the standard sling that's got this thing up in your business, up in your face, know. But I think that there's some stuff that's going to hit the market this year that's going to be pretty sick.
Yeah.
And some stuff we saw at ATA and stuff that we're kind of excited about. So
sure.
Hopefully we'll be able to explore that some, because I would like to do that, man, because, I don't know. Some things get trendy because they're trendy, and some things get trendy because they work right. Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be the latter of the two.
Yeah, for sure.
The lighter of the two. Funny.
So, anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. It's something lighter. And it would be so nice to not have to carry a big bulky stand on your back, man. So I don't know. I wish I was a welder, because I would probably just kind of make my own, you know. But then you kind of risk not knowing strength of things and being an idiot and falling out of a tree or whatever. But kind of in that same boat. Another thing I'm kind of worried about a little bit are my boots.
Yeah.
I got some leather conditioner. I got Kaylee to get me some, and I'm gonna try to put that on them. And then I'm going to waterproof them as well, or put some beeswax or something on them, and hope that can re-waterproof them. But I kind of let them get too far and didn't care for them.
So is that a thing? Is that what it is? You didn't kind of fulfill your end of the duties?
I think so. I think with a leather boot, you are kind of required to continue to beeswax them or mink oil them or whatever.
What about
you
my
do.
suede ones?
I don't know about all that.
Yeah. So I
would imagine you could throw beeswax on those.
I just don't think they dry out like that, though. I don't know for sure. I need to do some research on that, because
you said they weren't really that waterproof anymore, right?
Well, they're waterproof to an extent. It's just, I think since day one, the tongue has kind of been a flaw. Mm-hmm. Like they're when it came a big rainstorm this past year in Colorado, and rained for hours, and we hunted in it, and water just held on top of the boot in the tongue area, and in there it soaked through. Yeah. So, and it's not like you step in water and it's like, it's not running in there.
Right.
But yeah, they
that's kind of how mine are too.
They kind of soak. So I don't know. Maybe I can put some type of treatment on that, because the tongue's synthetic. It's not leather. Maybe I can put some treatment on that and do something with it.
And another thing that I kind of want, I really like your, I think I call it Alpine 20, but your Flash 20, isn't that it?
Yeah.
That bag that you got, I really, really like that kind of internal frame thing going on or whatever, just a light aluminum frame.
And it's not even a whitetail backpack. It's a elk style backpack or whatever, the day pack. But
it carries
it's
so
great
much
for whitetail stuff, man. And it's got all those buckles and straps I can put a bow on it. I can put a stand on it. I can put more clothes.
Camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of in that boat where I think that being able to strap that on, especially when you start going, okay, well, I can strap 2 sticks on each side as well. And so now all I'm carrying, in my hand is my bow or whatever, or vice versa. there was times when I'm having to carry so much stuff in my hands, and it's 20 degrees, and it's just freezing my hands to the metal that I'm holding onto.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be a big benefit for me to get something like that, as opposed to what I've been running lately. And I love my backpack that I have. I love the pocket setup. Everything's works and it's where it needs to be, but I think the Alpine or the Flash 20 that you use is really cool.
I'm going to say that your pack looks uncomfortable to me.
It is uncomfortable.
I think it's going to change your world when you get another one, because it
on
doesn't
a
have
long
any
trip
frame
in,
or anything.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
It's just a
for
big
sure.
old bag.
Yeah.
It's like one year I hauled meat out in a bag like that, and like whenever you take a elk quarter that has a bone in it, you don't really need much of a frame or anything, because it's the bone kind of holds it all together. But the boned out meat, like the back straps and everything, it just ends up in this big old blob of 40-pound blob of meat, dead weight. And in those bags, it was right down the bottom, like right there on the small of your back, and it's just pulling back on your shoulders the whole time. Ugh, it's terrible.
Now, when we were elk hunting in 17, Brennan and Matt had those Tenzing bags that would carry a whole quarter. Will yours do that? It'll carry a whole quarter?
Yeah.
Is that what you packed in 18 with?
Yes. Yeah. I packed with that, and we only did 2 bags. We got that elk out in 6 loads, 5.5. My mom can carry like a half load, which is good for her. She's a little lady, but I used that mostly, and my dad used a Midway, just like rucksack, or I don't know what you call it, like a Midway USA tactical style backpack that doesn't have a frame in it, but it's big.
Yeah.
And it actually is pretty good. It's got, a chest strap and a waist strap. So,
yeah.
I don't know. My dad's kind of, he's half tough and half old school, to where he's like, just throw it on there, like we talked a little bit about that the other day with like our parents' generations, right?
Yeah.
They're a different breed, man.
Yeah.
But anyways,
that's cool. I was just so surprised that you could fit a whole quarter in that, because like when I got there to Brennan's elk, I was like, there ain't no way that quarter's fitting in this bag right here. And it does,
Yeah,
crazy.
it does. Well, they expand. You take all those straps off, and it gets real big.
Yeah.
So
it's cool. That's a good thing.
Think about that, though. Like, that bag is, what, I think like a 3,000, right?
Yeah, I think that was
And
right,
the bags that we're looking at taking in for the elk trip are over double that size. Yeah. It's a big bag.
Yeah.
We got a bunch of stuff to put in there.
It's going to be a heavy bag. I'm as I kind of prepare physically for this thing, I'm been thinking a lot about 2 things, and that's my legs, obviously, and my back, which has been a weak point of mine forever, since I was born, I think. So I just have always kind of had a weak back, especially since I heard it in football in college, and didn't really do a whole lot of back exercise stuff after that, because it felt like I'd slip my disc every time I worked back stuff. So I need to start light and work into that, and hopefully try to strengthen my back this summer. Yeah,
I think we talked about this. I have a goal of, like, the way I see it, the less I weigh, the less weight I have to pack up and down the mountain, right? And the other day I weighed a straight up 200 pounds, which I was very surprised that I weighed that much, because I don't feel like I'm carrying around a whole bunch of extra fat, but I'm still got a little bit of winter chunk that I'm cutting some. But I've been running quite a bit, but I kind of feel like I'm getting to where I'm filling out more into, like, getting older. So
mature bucks. So.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm worried that I want to hit 180 before we go to the mountains, and I think I can do it, but it's going to be hard.
Did you eat those 2 cinnamon
No,
twists?
that was you, though. We got to where, like, when we stopped for a fast food stop on these trips, Tyler eats my cinnamon twists for me. So today was the same.
You make me.
But I don't know. I've been at like 178, 176 as an adult, but that was 9 years ago. So I don't know if it's still gonna happen or not. But
you were probably about a 3-year-old buck at that point.
Yeah, that's it. Just kind of like pencil necks, but still
starting to fill out, but not quite there.
Exactly. But I think that's like the big thing for me is I just want to be as thin as possible. Not as possible, but you know what I'm saying. You know,
Yeah.
like cut some excess weight. That way I'm just carrying what I
Prime
have
condition.
to have. Exactly. And I bought new running shoes the other day because I needed them real badly. And then also this Gila hunt was like the thing that kind of pushed it over the top. And been running a good bit, so feeling good. Kind of
Yeah.
like you, just need to build up some strength in my legs because it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a flatlander and you head to the mountains for a hunt, there's going to be some type of a curve there because you're not used to that, right? But I think that, like, A, working on mental fortitude, and B, just getting in as good shape as you can in flatland is going to help you get over that a lot faster. So that's kind of my plan.
Yeah, I'm there, man. I'm gonna start lifting weights pretty quick here and try to bust it on into the summer. I won't have weights for like a month or more on my vacation, but I'll just have to find ways to do rock step ups and all kinds of stuff like
Pick
that.
up a rock and throw it, dude.
Yeah, I think you can. You can definitely do that. So I'll be working on that kind of stuff. Man, anything else you're thinking about for this?
That's it, dude. I'm hyped
fall?
about this hunt. Thank you for being hyped about this hunt with me.
Can't help it, dude.
I can't
help
wait
it.
till 2020. We're going to get you a bull, and I'm going to call.
You're talking
It's
about
gonna
a
be
bull
fun.
moose, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because like a year or so ago, we were saying bull moose 2020.
I don't think we can make it happen.
I don't think we're going to make it happen.
But one of these days, that'll happen.
I hope, man. Hope I'm not too
but,
old.
Dude, I'm hyped. And I'm
Yeah.
hyped about this turkey hunt.
Yeah, me too. We're almost there. I think we're gonna slide by some public and take a look and see if we can find something that's blown up like a bowling ball on the edge of the woods.
Take a tour.
Take a tour. We're gonna kill a turkey. A turkey.
A turkey.
So anyway, if you are excited about turkeys as well, you can check out our film, which I think there are lots of you guys. I know how many people listen to this podcast, and there are lots that have not watched our film Hooked yet, which dropped recently on YouTube. Check it out. It's a cool story of KC's turkey hunt from earlier this year in Texas on opening weekend. So now we're back in Kansas and coming off of a little fishing trip where apparently everybody that listens to us knows exactly where that fishing trip was because they all wanted to state. Hey,
Everybody wants to be in the know, man. Like,
That's right.
I know where that is. It's like, yeah, it's a pretty public place. It's
yeah,
okay though.
It's pretty
if you know where it's
recognizable.
at, go fish and tag us in pictures.
Well, we're coming in here to a town that buddy. I got some friends that play music up here, right? And their drummer lives in
They're
this
gonna be
town.
mad that you didn't call them.
He lives in this town, and then the rest of them, all the brothers, live up in another town north of here just a little bit. So anyway, go check that out. Go check out our fishing foot video. It's like 2 minutes. It's pretty cool, man. It's Casey slamming some stripers, and I caught a cow, which was weird, but caught one of those. It was pretty fun. 2 minutes. It's worth the watch. And then we will catch y'all next week with a podcast that we are really excited about that we're doing here pretty quickly. We've got 2 guests lined up that are really going to be a lot of fun to talk to and some pretty insightful things. Yeah, that's it. You got anything else?
That's it. Leave
All
us a
right.
review. Love us.
Let's do it. We're going to get off the podcast now. So God bless you guys. Love you. And remember, this is your element.
Living it.
Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like them. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA. and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.